Hello, and welcome to this short flow spinal movement class. So this is if you only have a half an hour. We're also integrating the stuff that we've learned earlier in the tutorial sections. So you'll have a nice play through the spine, stimulate some movement, get some blood moving through the muscles and the tissues, and hopefully feel great afterwards. So come to a comfortable seated position, whatever that means for you, resting your hands on your knees, your thighs, and close the eyes. And just take a moment to arrive in the body, get our sense of centering. And when we're thinking of the spine, what does it mean to allow the spine to center itself? Organize itself upright without us getting rigid or locked. Notice where the shoulders are, if they have a little bit more space to relax. Take a moment to swallow so that the throat and the jaw releases. Soften the head and the eyebrows. And then notice the breath that's already there. The gentle movement of the ribs or the chest, just for a few rounds. We're already beginning that conversation with the nervous system. And then we'll deepen the breath. So on your next exhale, emptying all the air out. Navel gently hugging in. Deep full inhale into the ribs, the chest, and the back. And long exhale to empty. Emptying completely, navel gently in. Inhaling fully, sides of the ribs, collarbones, shoulder blades. And long, slow exhale to empty. A few more times like that, just like really deepening the breath, getting that sense of filling up the lungs and then emptying completely. And then when you're ready, open your eyes and we'll meet up on all fours. So as you come to all fours, take some time, just kind of pad through your feet and your knees till you find a nice stable position so that there's no tension in the shoulders, the wrists, or the hips. And we'll start with a circular action just to begin with, just waking up. So I'm making circles with my hips around my knees first. So I'm just getting the hip sockets, the lower back, just warming up. Taking our time, no pressure. And then move it back into neutral and we'll take a couple active cat-cows. So tucking your toes under. As you lift the chest, imagine your hands are dragging back and slightly away. So you'll feel the muscles on the upper back, the middle part of the trapezius, and the lats activate. Make sure your head and your neck are free. Push down into the balls of the feet as well. You'll feel maybe the navel and the pelvis area start to activate. As we move into cat pose, push the hands forward and slightly towards each other to round, tuck the chin. And the navel lifts slightly up towards the center. And then we go back and forth between the two. So take it nice and slow to begin with. So you really feel all those points activating. And what we're doing with this movement of the spine while we're engaging is really telling the spine, I'm giving you support, but I want you to remain mobile. So often when we think of supporting the spine, we think of a bracing action, like getting rigid, and that's just, it doesn't serve your natural movement at all. So one or two more times here. And then the next time you're in cat pose, just pause there for a moment. Shift weight from right hand to left hand. So a little pushing. Turn your head from side to side. A little massage in between the shoulder blades. You can often get sticky there for all of us. And then as you untuck the toes, sit back on the heels. If it's not comfortable for you to sit back on the heels, any other comfortable seated position, just for this moment, we're going to do a couple things with the shoulders. So interlacing the fingers in front of you, push the palms forward and away. And I'm rounding in the back for a moment and just sweeping the hands from side to side. So I start to really stimulate like behind in the rib cage. I often liken this to being a bear rubbing its, back against a tree. Just get everything moving back there. And then bringing the hands all the way up. And now we're making circles. So first of all, just think of the shoulder girdle moving around. So I'm thinking my shoulder blades moving around, making sure the neck and the head are free. Do the Indian head wobble if that works for you. And then the whole spine. Then we get everything active, getting the whole spine moving. So you make this as big or as small as it feels appropriate for you. Always remembering, just keep tuning in. What is the spine saying? What are the joints saying? If they're saying no, remember that's, the right answer. So you need to do less or pause. And then bring everything upright and just stretch the arms out to the side. So we're going to do a little side flexion and spiraling. So my right hand is coming down, left arm is reaching up and over, and just for a moment, just connect to that space from the outside of your hip all the way through the ribs to the fingers, and then coming up and then elbow to the opposite knee. So it's like I'm trying to hug and circle around this right knee, and then bring it up through center. Then we go over to the other side, left hand down, right arm up and over, and then bring it up and then hug this around towards the left knee. And we just keep going from side to side, just a few times. Side reach and bring it up, and then elbow towards that knee, and then side reach over to the left and bring it up, and elbow towards the knee. One more time each side. Side reach with the left arm, and then wrap it towards the right knee. Bring it back up, and then right arm reaches, and up and out. And then coming up for a moment, just pause, hands on the knees or the thighs, close the eyes. Just notice how that feels through the upper back, the neck, and the jaw. Again, let the spine organize itself. Just keep feeling in, tuning in. If you have to make smaller adjustments, remember, that's going to help you. Sometimes people are like, oh, you fidget so much. And I'm like, no, it's listening to my body. Okay, so let's come back onto all fours. A few more things to warm up. We're going to start with your big all fours, but I want to walk my hands a little bit further away, take a crouching, my heels are up, hips are back towards the heels, and I'm going to make some baby waves. So pushing off with the feet, rolling through the spine like an extended cat pose, lowering the pelvis, lift the chest through, get nice and springy between the right side and the left side. So I massage the pelvis and the lower back together. Again, making that movement as big as it feels comfortable. Then push the hands away, lift the navel up, and hips come back towards the heels. Let's try that a few more times. Rounding through the spine, lift the chest, collarbones open, looking over the right shoulder and the left shoulder. And then push the hands forward, hug the navel in to round. One more time like that. And then we will meet up on the belly. And when you're ready, the next time you're rolling forward, let's pause in that modified up dog. If you're comfortable enough to take your knees off already, go for that. That's fine. Make sure you don't lock out the elbows though. And then bring everything down, belly to the floor. Rest your forehead on your hands for a moment. Just let all of that initial information feel its way through the body. Think, what is the breath like right now? Always the most important thing, checking in with the breath. And then we move to Sphinx pose. So placing the elbows down on the floor, underneath your shoulders, maybe even a little bit wider. Remember, it just depends on how much tension you normally hold in your shoulders. So a little bit wider will relieve that tension. Think about pushing the forearms down and dragging them back to lift the chest through, and see if you can get your shoulder blades to move towards your sit bones, just using that dragging action. Press the tops of the feet down on the floor so the glutes engage, the thighs engage, and then tuck the toes under. Now we're going to lift the navel, lift the hips up, take a couple circles, hula hoops with the hips. You can always do it with the knees still on the floor. You'll get the same action. It'll just be a little bit less weight. And then lower everything down. We go back to Sphinx pose. Untuck the toes, lift the chest, Collarbones nice and wide. Think about the front and the back of the throat having equal space. And then tuck the toes under, push the floor down and away to lift the navel, and a few hula hoops here, about 2 or 3 in each direction. And then lower everything back down. And again, lift the chest, collarbones wide. Let's turn the chin from side to side this time. And then head comes forward. And again, lift the hips. Hula hoops. And then lower. Last time as we move into Sphinx, we are going to take head circles. So imagine you're drawing circles with the crown of your head around the room, a few times in each direction. And then when you're ready, bring it through center and we'll pause, forehead on your hands. Just take a few breaths there. Breathing into the back of the ribs, softening the jaw, softening in the shoulders. And then placing the hands next to the rib cage and pushing up and back. Let's tuck the toes under. We're unfolding to downward facing dog. So think about that action of the hands pushing forward to the front edge of your mat, and then heels pushing back enough to lift the knees up, and it's a sense that my legs unfold to downward facing dog. So we walk the feet on the spot, shifting weight from side to side, maybe looking your head from side to side. And then we'll take a few big waving vinyasas. So bend in the knees, get that springiness like we get in the crouching puppy, and pushing forward, rolling through the spine, through plank, lower the pelvis, lift the chest, get some buoyancy in the pelvis again, and lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Let's do that one more time like that. Little bend in the knees, push off, rolling through the spine forward. And again, can I get those collarbones to spread a little bit wider? Lifting up and back. And then bring the feet a little bit closer to each other. Lift the left leg. Lift the right leg even. Bend the left leg. That's what I meant to say. And then get that pulsing action here. Like this nice springiness. We're going to step the right foot forward outside the right hand. Left knee comes to the floor. Starting with that hula hoop action. So wiggling the hips, just getting that sense that the femur bones are moving in the hip sockets. You're finding where that space is so that we can start to release the lower back. And then bring it forward into the elastic lunge. The toes tuck under, the chest lifts, the shoulder blades soften, and there's that pulsing action here. Remember, it's like an engaging and releasing, like you're squeezing out a sponge and then you're relaxing that squeezing action. Lift the hips a little higher, turn to the left, surfer squat, bend the left leg, keep the right leg straight. My right hand's reaching towards my right foot and the left arm is reaching out in space. So I feel like I've got wings and I've got this slight angle with the chest towards my left foot, taking a deeper pulse here. Feel that through the inner thigh. And that's going to help hamstrings wrap around to the inner thighs and they wrap up into the back as well. So turn your right toes in, turn your left toes out. We're turning to Virabhadrasana 2. Windmill through the arms to come all the way upright. And so from here, let's take a little pulse to begin with. Just waking up this leg to support the pelvis. I like feeling that sensation through my foot as it kind of lifts and lands. And then we pause there. So remember, think about a little bit more support from the outer edge of your left foot. The left arm's going to reach, and I'm making big circles with the left arm. So the first few circles, just feel into the shoulder joint to begin with. Don't worry too much about how big it is, but feel it. Remember, I want to feel that. And then let the whole spine follow. And so it's almost like my arm is pulling my torso around in space. And of course, I need to keep the legs pushing away from each other slightly to keep that sense of support. And then we'll pause, just reaching the left arm up and over the top of the head. I'm going to reach down the right leg with the right side. So reverse warrior, connecting a little bit more to that left heel. And then straighten through both legs, side reach, so like a reverse triangle for a moment. And then bring the spine all the way upright. I'm going to revolve the rib cage towards the left so it's on an angle, and just place the hands on the back of the pelvis. Lift the chest, let the shoulder blades hug down the back a little bit. And think about this little baby back bend. And collarbones nice and wide. Breathing again. I don't want to drop my head all the way back in case I just pinch off my neck. I want that sense somebody's lifting my face up as well as the chest. And then bring the spine all the way upright. Turn the left toes in, reach both arms all the way up to the ceiling. Bend the knees, and it's like we melt down through the center. Prasarita Padottanasana, so just a wide-legged forward fold, but I'm going to shift weight from side to side. You can drop your head, place your hands beyond your heels if that's super comfortable, or reach forward and keep the spine supported. It's always going to depend on what feels right for you. And then we'll pause there. Relax through the neck, relax through the jaw. And then lift the chest, walk your hands around to the right, plant the hands either side the right foot, step back to downward facing dog. Let's just take one waving vinyasa here, rolling through the spine. Each time we come back here, we have more elements of what we've opened up, what we've strengthened as well. Pause for a breath or two in downward facing dog. And then place the shins down, come to child's pose and rest. Taking a moment to pause before we move on to the other side. And then when you're ready, bring the spine upright. Shift the weight forward into the hands, then push back into the hips and the heels. So remember, as I unfold the downward facing dog, I want the energy going back and away, right? Not into the shoulders and then back. I want that sense that my hands push forward here, knees lift, and then it's an unfolding. I don't ever have to straighten the legs. And pad through the feet and the hands to find that sense of just everything being supportive but elastic still. Let's take one waving vinyasa, rolling through the spine again. Lift the chest, get nice and buoyant through the wrists, through the elbows, through the shoulders, and lift up and back. Feet come together. This time we lift the left leg, bend the right knee. Get nice and springy here, and you might feel that into the inner thighs, the adductors as well. And then use the springiness of the right leg, step the left foot forward, right knee comes down. Remember, you can always get some padding under this back knee. And we take our hula hoops. So again, I always love the hula hoops. Before I do anything with the spine, I always want to pause and just get a hula hoop in there in this low lunge. So it's something that you can integrate to any practice. When you're ever in a low lunge, just first meet the movement of the pelvis as it connects to the lower back. Always going to be useful. Okay, we're going to move into the elastic lunge now. So shift the weight forward, back toes tuck under, lift the back knee. Again, that pulsing, right? You notice my back knee might go through straight, but it's never going to lock out. I want the mobility in that back thigh bone. And then let the chest lift a little bit. Let the shoulder blades slide down the back. And then lift the hips. We're turning to the right now for surfer squat. Then the right knee, keep the left leg straight. Left hand is reaching towards the left foot and the right arm is reaching out in the air. So I've got wings here. And they're spreading. The whole back of the body is really alive to support that. One more pulse. We move into Virabhadrasana 2, turning the left toes in, turn the right toes all the way out, windmill through the arms to come up. And again, we'll just relax the arms and pulse through this right leg. And just feeling what engages and also where's that support coming from. So I think a little bit more about the outer edge of that right foot. And then pause there for a moment. Again, feel that connection to the heel. We start making circles with the right arm on this side. And again, it's like The first few rounds, you're just discovering the movement of the shoulder. What does that feel like? And then this arm starts to take the whole spine with it. Moving through the spine. Let the head and the neck follow. And then reaching that right arm up along the side of the head. Go ahead and release that left arm down along the left side of the leg. Press a little bit more into that right heel for a moment. And then straighten through the legs. A little moment of reverse Trikonasana. And then bring it up. Revolve the rib cage now a little bit more to the right so it's on the angle. Hands come to the pelvis. Shoulder blades just slide down the back. Lift the chest here. And breathe. What needs to collect inwards? What's engaging through the pelvis, around the navel, so that you feel that sense it's an up action. The chest is going up, the face is going up. One more breath there. And then bring the spine to center. Turn the toes parallel, reach both arms up. As you bend the knees, it's like you melt down through the center to your forward fold. So again, we're just shifting weight from side to side. We're probably facing away from each other right now. That's okay. And then pause. You might want to take the crown of the head down to the floor. Or grab a hold of your ankles or your toes, just releasing through the back line of the body. One more breath there. And then walking over to the left, hands either side of the left foot, slide the left leg back. Let's just take one waving vinyasa here. And when you get back to downward facing dog, let the body settle into down dog. And then we'll meet up in child's pose. What does it feel like to breathe? Can we relax the neck and the jaw? And swallowing every once in a while, just swallow deeply so that the throat has a moment to release. And then when you're ready, we'll come up and do another round. We'll just add a little mini flow at the top. So hands come forward, tuck the toes under again, and push up and back to downward facing dog. Again, get a little pliable through the arms and the legs. As you bend the knees, let's just do one waving vinyasa here. And as you come back to downward facing dog, lift the right leg, bend in both knees, just a few little springies with the left leg. Step the right foot forward. This time as you take the left knee down to the floor, we're going to take a different spiral here. Walk your right foot wider than your right shoulder and turn your right toes and your right knee out. Left hand comes down wider than the left shoulder. Open up the right arm towards the ceiling. Let's take some big circles here and allow the spine to move with that. As you revolve the chest open and the arm reaches back, again, you're going to feel a little baby back bend within this lunge. And then pause with the chest open, root down a little bit more through the heel of the left hand. See where the shoulder blades land. And again, face up, chest up. Another breath in and out. And then bring the right hand down, inch that right foot more towards the center of the mat. Lift the left leg and then turn to the left again for surfer squat. And don't have your feet so far away from each other because we're going to keep coming back here. This is a little bit more stable. Turn the right toes in, turn the left toes out, windmill through up to our Virabhadrasana 2. And then the left arm is making that big circular action, just one time in each direction. And then straighten through the left leg, reach up and over for that Trikonasana. And then come up, reach both arms up this time. Revolve the rib cage a little to the left. This time we're going to take cactus arms. Squeeze a little bit through the glutes for support as you lift the chest. Bring it back up through center. Turn the heels in. As you bend the knees and drop down, shift into the left leg, open back out to surfer. Little pulse here. Surfer revolves into the Virabhadrasana 2. The Virabhadrasana 2 takes a big arm circle in each direction. Again, find that stability with the feet and the pelvis. Left arm reaches up and over, straighten through the left leg. Bring the spine up, reach up with the right arm as well, and find cactus arms, lift the chest. Bring it up through center. Turn the left toes in, bend the knees to melt down through center, open up to surfer. It's a little bit like Tai Chi, right? Let's try that 2 more times. Windmilling through the arms, big arm circle with the left. And then that straightens through the left leg, side body. Lift it up, reach up with the right arm, find the cactus arms, lift the chest. Bring it up, turn the left toes in, melt down through the center, open back out to surfer. One last time. Right toes in, left toes out. Maybe you're going a bit slower, maybe you're going a bit faster. It's okay, just keep feeling your way through the shifting of shapes, finding that support for everything and that fluidity. And up. And then bend the knees, melt down. This time, stay there, take a breath or 2. Lift the chest, walk the hands around to the right, step back with the right leg, downward facing dog. Just pause there for a moment. Again, is there freedom in the front and the back of the throat? Can I breathe? Place the shins down. And we meet up in child's pose, just pausing before we do that whole sequence on the other side. Noticing the rhythm of the breath. All right, let's get together and do it one last time on the other side. So when you're ready, hands come forward. Tuck the toes under, unfold to downward facing dog. Let's take one vinyasa here, rolling through the spine. Bring the feet a little bit closer together. Lift the left leg, bend both knees, get that springiness, step the left foot outside the left hand, right knee comes down to the floor. And again, this left foot now is going to inch away from the left shoulder, and the toes and the knees are going to turn out. Just the one toe and the one, well, no, all the toes and the one knee. Right hand comes wider than the right shoulder. Let the hips relax a little bit so they feel suspended, not dumped, but suspended. And the left arm makes those circles. And the spine is following, so it's revolving, it's reaching, it's engaging in the back, it's engaging in the front. A few more times. Remember, change up direction. I always forget to say to change direction, so if I haven't, always remember. That's what I mean. And then let's pause here with the chest open. Think about rooting down through the heel of the right hand this time. Don't lock out the elbow, but get that arm working to support the back of the shoulder. Link up. And then as you release the left hand, inch the left foot a little bit closer to the center of your mat. Lift the right knee. We're turning to surfer squat now with the right leg bent. Remember, turn the left toes in and off to support that. Get that springiness. We've got our wings on. And then left toes turn in, right toes turn out, windmill to Virabhadrasana 2. Big arm circle with the right arm, one time in each direction. And then reach up to that side Trikonasana, reverse Trikonasana. Engage through the glutes and the navel to bring you upright. Lift up the left arm, revolve over to the right. Cactus arms, lift the chest, open up the collarbones. You bring it back upright, turn the right toes in, melt down through the center, and we go back to surfer squat. Bend the right leg, extend through the left. Turn the left toes in, turn the right toes out, windmill through the arms. Find Virabhadrasana 2, and then big arm circle, right arm. It doesn't matter which direction you go or even how big you're making these circles. Make sure it feels good. Come up to that reverse Trikonasana. Lift the spine up, reach up and revolve the ribs towards the right. Cactus arms, upright, back bend. And then reaching back up, turn the right toes in, bend the knees, melt down through the center, surfer squat over the right leg, bend and pulse. Left toes in, right toes out, windmill through the arms. And again, big circle with the right arm, and then with the left. And then that just kind of moves into the next shape, which is a reverse Trikonasana, which lifts up and moves into the shape, which is that upright revolved back bend. To come up, to melt down, to shift to surfer squat. Let's do it one more round just to see if we can get that ease and flowing, letting everything synchronize together. Maybe you're making smaller movements, maybe you're making bigger movements than me. That's fine. The Trikonasana reverses. The spine comes upright. Feel the back wake up. And then we fold forward this time. Pause there in your forward fold. Take a breath or two. Walking around to the left when you're ready. Turn the left toes out. Hands plant. Step back to downward facing dog. And bring the shins down, hips to the heels. And rest in child's pose. And breathe. And just notice, what does all of that feel like in the body now? We've certainly stimulated a lot more warmth, the movement, the breath. And then to finish, we're going to play with Ustrasana, camel pose, just a little bit here. So come up to your shins when you're ready. If you want some padding underneath your knees, go for that. And for a moment, just shift weight. I always like to make sure that the pelvis, the lower back, like nothing's gripping before I get started, right? So I'm a little wiggly, a little fidgety, a little hula hoopy. I like to tuck my toes under because then I've got the springiness of the feet giving my pelvis that support, right? So start with the hands on the back of the hips. And again, think up instead of back. The back of the ribs lifts up just as much as the front of the ribs. And then the chest is looking to the sky. I'm checking with my neck and my jaw. A little wiggle with the hips here. And then maybe you find a moment to pause. Take a breath in and out. And then bring the spine upright. Again, I'm going to take a little wiggle. We'll take the next little layer here. I'm going to keep the right hand on my back. Again, get that sense of lifting, pushing through the feet, a little lifting of the inner thighs. And I lift the chest. My chest sees the ceiling, but my left arm reaches back, and maybe it brushes my left heel. I just play with that a few times. Lift it up and back, or maybe it just makes a circle. It doesn't even touch the heel. That's also fine. One more time there. And then relax. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Left hand on the sacrum, lifting up, front and back of the ribs lift, chest lifts, shoulders just relax. They don't have any responsibility right now. And then the right arm's going to circle. And I might just be brushing my heel. I might not even remotely connect to my heel, but it's just feeling that action. Where's the support coming from? Remember, it's coming from your feet. Maybe I find it, and then bring it back upright. Untuck the toes for a minute. Okay, now this final time, we just have an opportunity to just experiment with going back there, pausing, making sure it's still alive. Even though it's in stillness, I don't want to get fixed and rigid. I still want to have that sense of spaciousness around everything. Okay, so starting with both hands on the back of the hips, or if you're relaxed enough to just feel that support connect through the glutes from the feet, lifting the chest up, sliding the shoulders down the back, and then see if you can find your heels now. Turn your head from side to side, and again, the chest is going up, the face is going up, everything's being lifted away from the floor as opposed to thinking back. And if it's comfortable for you to untuck your toes and still find your heels, go for that. A few breaths there. And then you bring it all the way up. Let's sit back on the heels. And before we do anything, just take a moment to pause. Let the spine figure all of that out, right? If we breathe into it, the nervous system is calculating right now. It's going, oh, okay, there's a little bit of pressure there, but we came out of it, we're fine, we're safe. Talk to the neck and the jaw. Are the front and the back of the throat equal in space? Is the jaw released? Where's the breath? And then we can take the knees nice and wide and slide the hands forward so that now if you want that sensation of stretch through the lower back, you just shift the hips from side to side. You can have the forehead down on the floor as far as you want to go. Or if your back doesn't feel comfortable there, remember, just keep your weight supported through the hands and the forearms. More is never better. More is just more, right? More is just different. We're all different. We're all going to be here in different positions. And then when you're ready, coming up, and we'll meet up on the back for Shavasana. So swing the legs around. Make yourself comfortable. So, if you're at home and you've got, cushions or stuff to put underneath your knees, something underneath your neck, fully supported, arms out, have those little wiggly moments. And turning the head from side to side. Let's take a few breaths there. Just making sure that everything's completely released and relaxed. And then we'll take one last conscious breath, a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale with a sigh. Just enjoy that sense of heaviness in the body. Nothing needs to be active right now. Observe your breath just gently rising and falling in the belly. Now, if you have more time, please take it. Ready to move into the rest of your day or evening, just wake up with small movements, wrists, ankles. It's like you're coming alive again in this body. What does it feel like as you're waking up? In your own time, eventually bend your knees, maybe give them a hug in towards the chest. And then rolling over to your side to gently make your way all the way upright. No rush, take your time if you're still laying on the floor. And when you do find your way back to a comfortable seated position, let's just close the eyes and take the left palm on the heart center. And then the right palm on top of the left hand. What does it feel like to breathe into the hands? What does it feel like if you can sense the heartbeat underneath the skin? And whatever you've cultivated today in this practice together, can you take that out into the world with you? Whether it's a sense of being peaceful or just feeling good, how can you share that sensation with somebody else? This is where the practice begins. Namaste, everybody. It's a pleasure to serve you. I'm glad you joined me today, and I hope you feel amazing.